BB shot. However, if he had, between the good micro with the Rangers, or even the Banshees, using a Distort Field on them and then running them around, and being able to take out the Ludas, that would be, a Falcon especially would be a good idea for the ability to kite very easily. However, Pega now has his power form up. He doesn't activate this one, I don't think. But anyway, he's got his power form up, so now he's up at tier 2. The real key here is that as much as the battle for the victory points is actually now swinging in Iron Hand's side, and the fact that he's kind of more, he's getting more map control, is kind of evening things out here between his units, is that they're not going and being aggressive onto Pega's side. If you look at these requisition points, I don't think these ever even get contested, and this power form barely gets attacked, whereas Pega is always trying to get deep in his enemy's territory, and has kept the power forms to a minimum. So he pops out a war truck here. I was a little bit confused with this particular regard. My best guess was that he was going to go for just kiting the Banshees, which was actually pretty dangerous. It would take quite a bit of skill and attention to make sure that they don't fleet a foot in and then they would tear apart a war truck. However, Wraith Guard have of course come out, seeing as how it's Eldar, and so now we're going to see roughly 3D cannons plus super heavy infantry plus 2,200 hit points. And they can't shoot while moving anymore, so that's good. That's made them not the game breakers they used to be in 2.1, but still hugely effective. And I guess here's what I was kind of talking about with the Banshees, is that it's going to be taking its toll, but and you can kite effectively with a war truck. So I'm guessing that was the idea there, since he doesn't have any melee to really stand up to it. He does have a knob on his. I think he has knobs on all of his units now. No. Nope, okay. just the sluggers, as well as burners on them. I don't really know what the burners are for, maybe for trying to flush out units in buildings or whatnot, but he goes with the knob, probably for the ranger detection. So yes, now we see the inevitability of Wraith Guard just absolutely trashing that war truck. So that's gone. Again, not 100% sure what Pega was going for. War bosses can't fit in the truck. We're at 10, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 11 minutes solid. Apologies if... By the way, I think I've heard some people don't like seeing the time counter. So if you're watching the VoD here, then I'll keep that closed so you don't know when it's about to end. I think it'll be fairly obvious. But either way, getting good use out of the immolate ability. If not just, Pega is yet to lose a full unit, but he's lost quite a few. And reinforcement wreck is nothing to be shunned at. This is just a bad idea here. Rangers plus war boss plus sluggas. That's oh, does he not? Oh wow, barely. What was that? That was a grenade, I think, that went off that knocked back the war boss. So that was a good save there. Those Rangers barely made it out. So now I think we should have seen this ages ago. Was the warp spiders coming out? Warp spiders are good in almost any situation. Pretty hard to find stuff where they're not going to be effective, and in this case especially with a heavily range space army. And this is just poor follow-up. Oh, do these guys survive? No, maybe, no, nope. Oh, close, but Pega runs and gets him. Right, the warp spiders pop out. So that was bad use of the Banshee loss. Banshees could have been very well supplemented by these warp spiders. If those two could have stood out, the synergy between the two would have been great. Warboss got spiky armor and angry bits, and he's popped a few times. I don't know. I mean, like I said, at this point, the war gear for the Warboss isn't too important. You're not going to get too much more out of it. And in this regard, Warlock is a good idea with all the ranged units about. I like the immolator there. As for the Ludas, as much as they're, I feel like this would be hugely effective against Chaos or even Tyranids or another Orc player. The Ludas with the suppression plus, depends on how it's played, obviously. But the Ludas haven't been getting too much action since the Ranger popped out. Now with the Warp Spiders, they're going to be almost useless, as they can just warp in and start tearing them apart. Big shooters on the Shooter Boys, plus it doesn't have knobs yet. I think it will soon. This is the first power harassment that Iron Hands has here of note. So yeah, Pega's gone pretty much unharassed. Oops, wrong button. And as you can see, he's got quite a bit more power. on that end. I think, does he? Yeah, this is ugly. This is, again, just poor micro-LR player. Good idea with, trying to pop in. There's a few things wrong with here. One, he didn't even try to retreat his Wraith Guard and just lost that squad. Two, you warped the Warp Spiders right into the Slugger squad. And these guys are now level 3, and they kind of deserve that. The Warlock's been doing a really good job. He's got a lot of kills. He's at level 5 already. And he's been used quite effectively, but man, the rest of the micro for the LR is wanting. I think, does he lose? Yeah. Maybe. Yep, okay, so he just lost the Warlock, almost lost his Warp Spiders, and he lost his Wraith Guard, all to Sluggers. On the upside, of course, he's got a little bit of map control back, that Iron Hands does. Only 2 power, so tier 3 is pretty much out of reach at this point. Stick Bomb has come out for Pega, and you really don't see these very often. You don't, you don't see looters very often, but, oh, does he lose the, barely gets those guys out of there, and the other one's back in base. I don't know, again, if this was just to discourage building usage, garrisoning, or if it was just for, if you could catch Rangers set up. I think one lob of grenades would kill a full the squad of Rangers, as well as it'll be anti-platform too. If they can get in close enough, they'll get suppressed. They're also decent melee if set on, against the Warp Spiders. They're so mobile, wouldn't be too much of a help. But it's refreshing to at least see some sort of use of them. Like I said, in melee, they're not half bad. I think they're about the same as Slug. They also have huge amounts of have a really good knockback with this little special attack they have here. These guys should just be warping out, then retreating. There we go. And never mind. He puts the stick bombs in. Weird board popping out here. Now, again, I mean, for the LR players, pretty much 2 gone. You're working off of a 100-point victory margin here, where the Pega had 500 and Iron Hands was down to 150. So the fact that he survived this long has been actually quite impressive. Partially, I think Pega has kind of been lighting up on going for victory points. Weird Boy pops out now. Weird Boys are, again, another unit that's hard to find in situations where they're not useful. Supplies orcs with, obviously, the heavy artillery that they don't really have otherwise. One thing I've noticed is the fact that the Eldar player hasn't gotten anything. Mostly because of the, look at the decapping on this side. He just hasn't had the resources. He hasn't had the map control, which stems from that early game, just not having any, Warlock barely survived. Not having, the double guardians. I think that starting build order is really what destroyed him. He's really been on the back foot the entire game, as well as not going for vehicles at some point. Ludas would be easy enough to counter with other Eldar units. When he hit tier 2 a Warp Spider, if he could have kept his Banshees with the Warp Spider and gotten a Falcon out, that would have made this game quite different. As the Ludas, even if they've been upgraded, the Warp Spiders could have been, warping around them, taking them down, and then kiting with kiting the shooters and /sluggers with the Falcon would have been quite doable. As well as losing that Wraith Guard. Unit preservation here is what's the biggest deal. Pega hasn't lost a single full unit. He's lost a lot of single infantry, but he hasn't lost a single unit yet, which is a testament to his skill. And Weird Boy, I don't know if it was very necessary. There's some fun stuff you can do with him. Over Dare, I think, is one of my favorites, where he just throws units. I've seen some funny replays of that going down, where they just chuck a unit of sluggers right into a D-cannon, and they lose the D-cannon with it. That was lovely. Really ranged. See, this strat I think is interesting, and Peg I think says somewhere in the forums that he's been doing this a lot with the orcs, which is great. The warbots, say what you will about him. Against other players, other high-ranked players, this probably wouldn't work. It's fun though, and the hammer has been quite effective. It does massive damage, but when did he just get out? Did he get another Ludas? This boy, or did he? He might have. No, he didn't. That's healing. I don't know what he got. Oh well, either way, game's pretty much over at this point. They got, the Eldar really doesn't have anything. Went with the Wraith Lord a little bit late. Even with that, I would have gone with a Falcon over a Wraith Lord, personally, just because of its ability to kite stuff and such.